Bring out the original Glinda wand, please.
Thank you, Angel!
I'm just gonna push you right over here. Are you serious right now?
Isn't it? It's a so-called practical.
Yes.
Nothing like this.
Feels very theater kid. They're always touching each other's faces.
The preparation for this was so much fun. Cynthia and I would do stunt training, different kinds of training, because this film, it gets physical.
Wicked may need no introduction, but I might. Hello, I'm Seth, Mr. Tired Eyes, and I'm here to talk about Wicked. I was kidding a little bit before. I'm gonna give you a little bit of an introduction for Wicked. Realistically, I really do kind of need to set this up a little bit because there's a lot to say and it's gonna be full of spoilers. So be sure to click away at some point. You don't have to worry about that for a minute because there is a lot leading up to the actual movie itself to discuss before we get there. So I'm gonna do my best to create the chapters as soon as I post the video. I haven't created chapters on any of my videos yet. It's time for me to start doing that. So let's start with some statistics. Wicked the movie brought in some very big names. Of course, we all know that Cynthia Erivo plays Elphaba and Ariana Grande plays Glinda. Other than that, there are also big names such as Jeff Goldblum, Jonathan Bailey, Michelle Yeoh, and a lot of others. I am not positive on this, but I feel like all of the background singers and dancers were probably the best of the best off of Broadway. I wouldn't be able to recognize people based on names from Broadway, so I can't really confirm or deny that without doing a lot more research, and this is already just so much. It's already so much. I just wanted to make the point that there was a very deliberate move to put some very, very, very large names in here. Next is going to be some numbers. I hope you like them because there are a lot of them and they are big and almost inconceivable to our poor peasant brains. The Wicked movie had a roughly $150 million budget as far as production went. $350 million worth of marketing campaign was put into this movie. Now, they didn't necessarily spend all of this money on marketing. What happened was there were a lot of deals between Wicked and all kinds of other companies. They got a lot of free advertising out of this. And on merchandising like dolls, toys, Crocs, whatever, you name it, they made it. And from all of the merchandise that they sold before the movie, it comes to a rough 100 million. When it comes to corporations, especially media corporations that dump a lot of money into advertising and social engineering, it's very hard to get the exact numbers. They aren't really legally required to tell us all of that, if I recall correctly. I don't know a whole lot about that. It doesn't matter. I just wanted to, kind of mention that these are all very big numbers that are very big, but they could be hundreds of millions of dollars off in accuracy. So take it with a grain of salt. Just know it's hundreds of million dollars. We can't relate to that, so it's pretty much the same thing either way, right? And finally, at this point in time, which as of writing all of this was the day before Thanksgiving, the movie has made $114 million. The movie has been out for, I think, a week exactly. I think it came out last Friday. Yeah, that sounds right. So the movie's only been out for a week and it's already almost completely made back production spending. So as much as I'm going to complain about money budgets, movie budgets and how big they are, I gotta give it to them that they do know the economics of, if we spend this amount of money on producing, then we have to spend this amount of money on marketing. Much of what I will be talking about has been gathered from YouTubers, social media posts, and articles. I've done my absolute best to get proper screenshots and videos of the examples that I'm talking about. So if I were to say, and then Ariana got this gorgeous orange kitten, then I would put an image of her gorgeous orange kitten. I think that's easy enough. I didn't really do a great job of organizing my sources while I was writing the script. So all of the credits I had to do after the script was written and kind of make it work. I will be crediting people as I go, but at the end of the video, I plan on putting it all in one spot. Just, you know, the good old credits at the end. I do want to include a few videos like this one on Ariana Grande and her controversy that she has had throughout the years. I never really mention anything specifically from that video, but if you are curious about my viewpoint and what has led me to thinking what I think about this movie, a good place to start would just be going through the process that I did of just watching other people to see what they were saying about it. Other than that, I will also be using footage from Defying Gravity, The Curtain Rises on Set. It took me so many times to remember what the hell that title was. It is a mouthful. I kept thinking it was Behind the Curtain, and I kept having difficulty finding it for the longest. I had to keep looking up Wicked Movie 2024 documentary to keep finding it. So you're welcome. And last but not least, I will have some clips of the actual movie scattered about. These clips are video recordings. They are nothing official. I know I'm not a big channel yet, but I don't want to risk this video getting demonetized. So I'm going to work really hard to work around any copyright issues that there may be. And I don't know, it might not be perfect, but I'm going to try to make it pretty for you to watch. Because my sources are not as professional as I would like, I, as always, encourage everybody watching to do your own research if A, you aren't sure about how something works or why I think a certain way, or B, you want to know more about the situation. And honestly, fact-checking is a great thing to do. We are living in a time where media literacy is not it. So if you're not sure, do your own research, look into it, see what you can see what you can find, and make your own video about it. I'll also have the credits in the description of the video, so then that way if there's any doubt in your mind, you can just scroll down to the description and find all the information there. It's been a very long time since I have seen Wicked. I saw it one time on stage when I was about 16-ish years old. So that's about 13, 14 years ago now since I've seen Wicked. Obviously, I played the soundtrack on repeat for a little while, a little period there during high school. But other than that, that was the only time I had watched the show. Because of that, I've kind of forgotten a lot of details. My memory's not the best anyway, but after so long, it was almost like watching it for the first time again. I'm sure many of you can relate. After you go long enough since you've watched something, rewatching it, it's like you completely forgot what it was about. Because of this, there are going to be a few times when the things that I talk about are going to be said in a way that might make it feel like this is my first time experiencing Wicked. There are a lot of things that I want to talk about that I already knew from watching Wicked before, but the way that I'm going to be presenting them is going to be like I am experiencing this story for the first time. This is mostly because I will not be able to do a good job of comparing the Broadway musical Wicked to the movie. I won't be able to notice what parts are different. I won't be able to tell really what scenes are being recreated. So I'm just gonna smush them into one and I'm gonna pretend like this is my first time watching Wicked. Especially since overall, the story itself isn't really what I'm doing here. I'm here to talk about like literally everything else about it. Don't be fooled though, I will be talking about the story. So to get started, let's break down this video that you are about to watch. There will be 5 parts. Introduction, the news and drama surrounding production, my thoughts before watching, my thoughts while watching, and my thoughts after watching. There will probably also be a bit of a conclusion, but I'm not sure if that's just going to be mashed in with my afterthoughts. I'll get there when I get there. So strap in, get cozy, pull out your sketchbook, get you a little meal, get yourself all ready to watch a good little movie. And without further ado, let's get into it. Look at her, she's wicked. Get her. Let's start with the advertising. I mentioned it in my Minecraft video because it was relevant, but also because I think it's the biggest part of the Wicked movie itself. From buses to flashy billboards to the lights on the Arc de Triomphe, there's no escaping it, and they want you to see it. Have you seen it? Have you seen it yet? Have you watched Wicked yet? Huh? Did you know Ariana Grande was in it? They've done so much marketing that I'm not really going to get into it because it would really add a lot of length to my video. At the beginning I mentioned how I've been watching a lot of YouTubers and creators talk about these things, so this video right here was the first one that I saw that compiled everything together. A lot of people have been covering this, like a lot of people. I think this was just the first guy that popped up where everything was more cohesive and all in one spot, whereas most of the other videos were either one-off situations or creators talking about multiple things the way that I'm doing today, where it's not the focus. So start here if you want to, up to you. The only reason why I do really want to bring it up is because, first of all, the reason why everybody who clicked on this video knows exactly what Wicked is, and 2, I wanted to reiterate in this video how I think it's quite odd that we can tell how much the producers think that the movie is going to succeed and how much they put into it based on marketing alone. So, take Wicked for example, huge budget, they knew it was going to be good. Theater kids, they make things good. There was no doubt in their mind that the raw talent would carry the film. Regardless of how I fall short in the understandings of movie budgets and the very economy of Hollywood itself, it doesn't get past me how big and creative they are just so that they can market and make money, when they could be using those big ideas and concepts and those wicked abilities to make something new. The producers of Wicked and everybody doing marketing for it knows the #1 golden rule. If you control the media, you control what people see. And if you control what people see, you control what they spend their money on. This isn't a statement of any kind. I just wanted to point out how Ariana in the past has talked about how she wanted to play Alphaba, and she is Glinda. I'll get back to that later. When I was watching the behind the scenes documentary, there was one point where Cynthia turns to Ariana and she asks her,
did you know deep in your heart and your gut that this was your role?
I hoped, but I don't want to put that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, wake me up when it's over, and if it happened, if it's real, let me know when it's real. But
right. Yes.
What was your process like? Your audition process?
So I just wanted to make note of that. Like I said, it's not important. It's not controversial. I just think it's funny how she wanted to play Alphaba, who is the main character of this musical. She ended up playing Glinda, which is not the main character. And yet somehow they're like the same person. Another positive note is the wig that was made for Alphaba. I watched this video that explained how it took 3 hairdressers the course of 10 days to make this wig. They use 3 different colors for the braids, and it's all 100% handmade, gorgeous, beautiful. Now this is something that inflated budget needs to be going towards, okay? Not only is it really important to make high quality wigs, but to make such a gorgeous wig that's custom made for a person of color, it really feels like the progress that we've been missing in media. That's one of those things I think that I can use an example for why I feel this way. Let me pick on Avatar a little bit, how in the new live action, Yue's wig looked not good. It didn't look good. It looked fake. It didn't look real. And I never thought I'd be saying this, but M. Night Shyamalan did it better. Yep. Taking these new approaches to something like making these wigs for people of color is progressive. It's something that's going to cause change, and it might inspire new ideas of similar methods. Maybe they can find a way to braid the hair quicker. Maybe they can find a way to make the weft different. I don't know. I don't know much about wig making, but what I do know is that the more you experiment around with ideas that haven't been explored, the more revolutionary the conclusions become. Conclusionary. I just want to keep that in because it's so wicked of me. So let's go to a not so great thing. Cynthia. Oh boy. Poster debacle. If you haven't seen, which I'm sure you have, everybody's talking about it. There's no way you haven't heard about that unless you are just like tuned out. Before the movie was released, studio released a movie poster. The studio released a movie poster that was based on the original Broadway poster. It was made to emulate it. It was supposed to be the same poster, but it wasn't the same poster. Anybody who's been a fan of Wicked can take one look at it and be like, wow, yeah, this is actually kind of really different from how the other one was formatted. And so a fan who can do graphic design decided to do a little bit of photoshopping and create a new version of the movie poster that looks exactly like the Broadway version. And Cynthia had a lot to say. She tore this person to shreds, okay? This is the wildest, most offensive thing I have ever seen. Equal to the awful AI of us fighting, equal to people posing the question of, is your green? None of this is funny, none of this is cute, it degrades me, it degrades us. The original poster is an illustration. I am a real-life human being who chose to look right down the barrel of the camera to you, the viewer, because without words, we communicate with our eyes. Our poster is an homage, not an imitation, to edit my face. The first time I heard about the situation was from D'Angelo Wallace. I watch him a lot. Check him out, like 100% for sure. If you haven't already, He's done a great job, and he makes some excellent points. There's really no reason for me to echo all of his points. You can just go watch him over here. I do really love the Photoshop version. I just wanted to say that. She has the line about the windows to the soul, and first of all, it doesn't look like her soul is saying anything right here. And second of all, that's the point. That's the point of the poster, is so that Alphaba hides her eyes and you don't know what's going on up there. That's the point. And lastly, girl, Cynthia, with all due respect, you're the main character of a movie that made $144 million in the first 6 days. Respectfully so. I will say one thing though. A lot of the strange behavior that I still haven't even gotten into yet might have an explanation. So here's a picture. And the picture is a before the filming started and after filming. And as you can see, they look very thin. And I know that lighting and angles and perspective can change how thin you look and all that, but they are thin. On one hand, there are a lot of people that think that it might be weight loss drugs or pressure to lose weight or a combination of two. There's the second theory that it's eating disorders. Ariana has a history of eating disorders, and I was looking at a discussion about it, and there have been studies shown that eating disorders can basically be contagious. That basically somebody with one can pass on that mindset, and then they can encourage each other to not eat. So the question of their weight and their health is a big one for sure. And if the case is more leaning towards eating disorder territory, then it means they're probably exhausted. Broadway, dancing, singing, all of that stuff is so much energy. When I'm in situations where I'm using my strength, my muscles, my physical body, you can bet your ass I eat more, because your body just needs nutrients, man. That's just all there is to it. That's just, that's just how it is. And when your body doesn't have nutrients and when you don't eat, your emotions become really unhinged, and I know that really well, actually. I mean, as somebody who has mental health problems, anybody who has mental health problems for the most part are going to understand that if you don't eat, they're going to get worse. If I don't eat and I'm already in a depressive episode, I'm going to get even more depressed, and then I'm not going to be able to eat because I'm so depressed. So it's just like this big cycle that we have to be really careful about, and we have to make sure to take care of ourselves properly. And I don't like how Hollywood is still perpetuating this ridiculous standard of how women should look. Even Zendaya, when I look at her, she's so skinny, and like, I don't necessarily think it's unhealthy skinny. I just think it's really weird how stars almost seem skinnier than they were back in the 90s when people were more vocal about being fat phobic. So I think that's just an interesting thing to consider, how dangerous this idea that everybody needs to be skinny actually is, how unhealthy being skinny actually is. It's just different for everybody, and it's really weird how the problem has gotten worse. And if it's not worse, then on the plus side, it just means that we are more aware of the eating disorders and the Ozempic and all of these pressures that are put onto these actors and actresses, mostly actresses. It's mostly women. And it's just these unrealistic expectations, and the only way to fit these expectations are to hurt yourself. And that's bad. And I hope Ariana and Cynthia are doing better. People online are chattering about how this movie is giving original Wizard of Oz. Basically, the original Wizard of Oz faced a lot of difficulties, and a lot of people think that this is just one and the same. Judy Garland was so neglected during that film because she barely ate, because they made her chain smoke to keep her skinny and made her do drugs and just all kinds of messed up stuff. The paint on the Tin Man. The Wicked Witch got burned on set. People claim that a munchkin hung himself on set. I'm pretty sure that's an urban legend. I do think it's odd how a lot of people online think that the film is cursed, when in reality, the truth is so simple. Because baby, it's just the same practices as before, just with extra steps. Actresses often face a lot of abuse and neglect and poor treatment whenever they are in the media industry, and that's just something that has happened for a very long time. In the behind the scenes documentary, they showed off a little bit of what the set looks like. This set is massive. This is a massive set. You can tell a lot of work and time and art and dedication went into this. You can tell that this was probably a quarter of the budget. And I do think it looks gorgeous. It's really cool. Actually, I kind of think that this is something that we should already be doing. I think we should have big sets like this where they can be stripped down and repurposed as the next big movie set. Even the creators of Wicked admitted that they didn't want to do a lot of CGI. As most people should, CGI should be a touch-up, not a dependency. So in that, I really do applaud them. Having the set to be as immersive as it is in order to achieve a certain look is fantastic. However, part of me thinks they were cheating. Do you know why? Because Alphabet is green. And you know what you can't use when your main character is green? A green screen. I know that there's like blue screens. I know technically you can use chroma key on any color because I'm a video editor. But if that's true, which I don't know if it is because that's something I just totally made up, it does lose them points a little bit. could be wrong. I hope I am. I could just be... I'm trying to be cynical, okay? Another not so great point. On the other side of the pond, good old UK, tally-ho, bish posh. What's all this then? That's right, isn't it? I'm sorry, I should have, like, stopped at one or just, like, not done any of them. I'm American. I couldn't help it, frankly. And the UK advertisers have actually been avoiding putting Elphaba's face in the advertising. They've been focusing on Glinda, and only Glinda. If they would have casted someone white for Elphaba, would she be on the advertisements in the UK too? Because it looks like she's all over the advertisements here in the US, so... I don't know, that is weird. I did want to make note, because it does tie back into the much earlier point of when Cynthia was nitpicking that poster, that fan-made poster, where she was talking about erasure, where she was talking about inequality and degradation. Girl, your own country is excluding you from the advertisements, and as far as I'm aware, she hasn't made a comment on that. She hasn't made any comments about the UK, and I haven't checked it for a week. Disclaimer, I haven't checked in to see if she has made a statement on it. I'm not on Twitter because I'm a normal person, but I haven't seen anything so far concerning her addressing the racism in the way that Wicked was marketed in the UK. It just doesn't make sense. She's from the UK. Anyway, we need to make sure that when we are using our voices to speak up, we are not wasting our breath. Her speaking up for that poster was a waste of her fucking breath, and people suffer. One of the ways that they suffer is from the erasure. Like your advertisements in the UK, they're not advertising your face in the UK, they are erasing you there. Where are your words now? Or is your breath gone because you already wasted it? So, this one is another note. Basically, just reminding the audience, okay, that Ariana Grande has always been seen as this huge diva, this golden actress who overshadows everybody around her. That's it. That's all I really wanted to mention, because it'll be important later on. Another good note. The cast insisted on singing while filming. As a theater kid, that's kind of like a no-brainer, which is how they felt about it. As a film person, that's exhausting. In my opinion, I think it's really cool, because I do think there are a lot of situations where syncing a song can absolutely ruin the emotion of that song. I'm a lot more understanding when it comes to films and shows if they choose to sync, because it does save a lot of time and money to just record the song and edit in post. But when you're trying to create a movie or a show that is supposed to be moving through emotions and a sense of understanding, it is very hard to lip sync with the emotion that you have when you sing. That's just how I feel about it. I think it's pretty hard. So I just give them a lot of props for that. Knowing that they were singing the songs while the film was being recorded just makes it feel that much more connected. Very good. Very good. You know that awkward moment when toy companies announce that they're going to assign AI the task of writing their boxes, and it turns out that whenever they release merchandise of the movie, boxes that were written by AI and apparently were not spell checked by any real humans whatsoever lead you to a website called wicked.com, and it turns out it's a porn site, and now you're just a kid with a doll on a porn site. Yeah, that was a lot of people recently. Pretty much everything I said is what happened. Mattel decided they're going to use AI a lot more, but they don't know how to use it well, clearly, and now children may have seen porn. This is weird, huh? This point might be a little weird. When I first saw the school uniforms, it was Loathing. It was when I first saw the sneak peek of Loathing. I thought I was looking at the show Wednesday, but why did it give Wednesday so bad? Please tell me. Oh, and last but not least, I am so tired of making all of these points. Can I start making lines? of productive merch that makes $100 million before opening night in the box office. There was a lot of suspicion that people were messing around, like messing around. And with that, I'll just leave you this clip, because honestly, I don't care.
They're always touching each other's faces, doing like love taps on their faces. I mean, the way that during interviews, Ariana looks longingly while Cynthia is answering questions and her eyes start swelling up and she mouths, "I love you." The hand holding. What's funny though is that I never see her like this with the guy that left his wife after she had a baby.
Dancing through life. So when I think of Wicked, it's actually overall very positive. It's moving, it's emotional, it's inspiring, it's empowering. It is strong. It is a force. I will say, with my love of musicals, most musicals don't have more than 2 or 3 songs that I enjoy, and Wicked's no exception. There are only 2 songs that I like, and it's For Good and Defying Gravity. I never liked Popular, I'm sorry, I know it's like the most popular song. Popular. But it just was never really for me. The rest of the songs are good, but they're not so good that I'm going to play them in repeat during class when I'm 14 years old good, you know? There has only been one musical where I like every single song, and that is Chicago. I love Chicago. I just know that it's good shit. I love it. Graceful. Demure. I only mention this because whenever I think of Wicked, all that I think of is Defying Gravity. That one scene, Defying Gravity. I've always thought that that song just carries the entirety of that play. That is the moment where if you're not already invested, you are hooked. I still get chills. I've watched this movie, I listened to Defying Gravity a bunch of times, but even talking about it now, I still get chills. This isn't new to me. Defying Gravity isn't new at all. But the emotional impact is always there. And media that sticks with us for a long time like this is probably worth something. I love stories about the complexities of human nature more than anyone else. For that, Wicked was impactful for me and for a lot of people. I had ridiculously high expectations going into this. I had no doubt this was going to be good. Have you seen the names in this musical? Yeah, because I showed them when the video started. But it's going to need to be incredible and revolutionary for me to sing the praises. To really drive the point in, most movies are spending around $500 million to make these movies, and although I understand that it takes a lot of money to make these, for that price tag, they better be streaming the frickin' movie straight into my brain. I want the 6D experience with all 6 senses, alright? There ain't no $500 million budget. I have said it before, and I will say it a million more times. These companies have a buttload of money. The movies they're putting out do not reflect that they had a buttload of money. They reflect that people were rushed and that their artists aren't appreciated. I am still in shock that an animosity such as Pinocchio got released by Disney. I might also have to talk about the Snow White movie soon for the same reason. And sure, you can say that those are really easy examples, and you're right, because pretty much all of the movies that we've been seeing have had a cop-out in one way or another, because they want to please general audiences. They don't want to take the risk that one group of people might not like it, so they keep adjusting to make sure that everybody can like it. There's a difference between inclusivity and marketing. Although it's good to recognize good, hard work, I think we've come to a point where we have forgotten how creativity and new concepts can be revolutionary and start entire movements. They play the safe route to use IPs that will be profitable over the option of creating a new era of storytelling. To me, being in a position where you control the stories that the public sees and how they are being told, and you are still failing to tell good stories, then you shouldn't be telling stories. I don't even know where I was going with that. I was going somewhere with that. I want to make it clear that I don't think that Ariana is a bad Glinda. In fact, I think she fits the role so well that it's scary and really uncanny at times. However, there's no doubt in my mind that they were pretty sure they were going to use Ariana from the beginning. Sorry, that they were going to cast her. Like I've stated earlier in the video, this is a very big money movie. They expected it to make money. They put a lot of money into it. They put a lot of big names into it. It's just, it's the pattern. Realistically, the general public doesn't really like musicals. So many times people want to see movies and then they find out that it's a musical and they're like, ugh. Like, I think the most recent thing was Mean Girls was turned into a musical, and I didn't watch it, and it's really just because I never watched the Mean Girls musical, so I was only familiar with the movie, and I didn't know enough about it or really care enough about it to watch it. I would watch it with a friend. If a friend wanted to watch it, I'd be like, sure, that'll be a fun little movie to watch, but, I mean, otherwise I really had no interest. And that's with me being a musical person. Even I'm guilty of it. So I want to be appreciative of all of the work that they did to make it big and to make it visible, because musicals are great. I love shows. I love the stage. We've already been through that. And I don't need convincing to watch Wicked. Apparently they just needed convincing to make Wicked. 20 years of it. Thanks, guys. And of course, on the other side of that coin, we have to remember that bringing people in like Ariana are power moves. They're power moves. I always feel the need to bring this sort of stuff up because it's important to remember that we are manipulated to feel a certain way about the things that we see. I can be frustrated about it all that I want, but realistically, Ariana Grande was an amazing choice for Glinda. Like, holy shit, a lot of times that I was... Never mind. From what I had seen before viewing it, she was hitting all the points. I forgot to mention this in the little last section, but she did have training from the person who played Glinda on Broadway, and apparently they had met when she was like 10 years old, so happy for her. She got to do all that fun stuff when she was 10 years old. Whatever. It's fine. That doesn't matter. The point is that she took notes, okay? And I love the way that she sounds like Glinda. She sounds so much like Glinda, but she's always had that high range, so it's not surprising. Like, this is not really an unexpected casting. My biggest concern whenever I see movies with insane budgets is that the message is going to get lost. I clearly am kind of a little new here, and I haven't made a Barbie movie review. I don't know if I will unless people really want it. But I found myself disappointed at several points in that movie because every time it felt like they were close to saying the right thing, they would diverge and then start on something totally different. Namely, that scene where the girl's mom was going on a tangent about double standards, which are very real and very damaging. And they lost me when she said, they want you to have money, but they don't want you to ask... Something about money. Something about asking for money. And I was like, whoa, hold up. Y'all didn't even mention, like, the makeup double standard or the weight double standard or the eating double standard. Like, everything about being a woman is a double standard. And that's just how it is. And they missed every single point. And I was like, damn, y'all really don't want to seem woke, do you? And that's another thing I forgot to put in the last section. Shoot. Darn me. Darn. Basically, there are quite a few conservative articles talking about how Wicked is woke, which is good, because Wicked would be considered a woke musical. Having an oppressed group fighting for their rights will always be woke, because it means people are awake and paying attention to injustices and cruelties done to marginalized people. So I'll give them that, because it is very important that we retain the messages that we are trying to tell people without getting lost in the sauce of worrying about whether or not everybody and your mother and your cousin and your cousin's brother are going to come and see it. And of course, tying into everything else, it was released at the end of November, right before Thanksgiving, right before the holiday season. That's always a good time to sell something during the winter. We get it. It's frustrating, and it's also very dangerous territory to tread in. But the fact of the matter is that a lot of stories are about rising up against oppressors. And at the end of the day, a lot of people in the media, a lot of people with wealth and power, they are the oppressors. And a lot of them are the ones directly making the media that we control. There is a reason why they don't want you to be woke, and it's because everything that they are doing is corrupt. So the irony of that is not lost in me, especially when, referencing back to Barbie, there are messages that get lost because the people in control don't want you to actually feel empowered. Wicked is a show about empowerment. So going into this, I was very worried that they would lose the message. However, I figured that they would follow the script bit by bit, and if they followed exactly how the actual show went, there would be no loss in translation. So I wasn't too worried about that, especially since the cast seemed very diverse. It seemed like they did actually want to do a lot concerning inclusivity and basically following the message that the musical puts out, which is good. Very good. Theater people are incredible. Most people don't realize this because they're so busy watching shows and movies on their phones and TVs, and I don't blame them. Musicals and shows are not cheap to go to. You have to pay to go see these things, as you should, but the amount that you pay for movies and TV is far less. So I can't really be too upset at that. Personally, even I wish I could go to more musicals. I haven't been to a musical in a very long time. It's always very important to remember that most forms of art are classist, including theater. Regardless of that and my feelings about that, Broadway actors are incredible. Vocal training is hard, dancing is hard, singing and dancing is hard, jumping and singing and dancing is hard. It's all difficult, and you have to do it live while you're performing. There is no post-edit. There's none of that. You got to do it right live or you don't. And it's great. It also leaves a lot of opportunity for improv if things go wrong, because things will always go wrong on this stage, whether we like it or not. Usually. Not always, but usually. And it's always so cool to see actors' ability to just adapt and work around things. Basically, what I'm saying is I really do hope that a lot of people get into Broadway and musicals in general, because from what I've seen, the dancing, the singing, the choreography, everything looks like the way it would look in a musical. They absolutely took the approach of this is a musical, and I really hope it gets a whole new generation and even maybe some oldies into musical theater, because it is so cool. It is so neat. It is so wonderful and exact and precise and just a really honed in art. That all being said and squared away, I do believe those are all of my thoughts. I have no doubt that this is going to be a good movie. There's no doubt in my mind it's going to look good. It's going to sound good. It's going to be good. There's no way they could butcher that. They would be fools if they butchered that. The type of actors that are acting in this are going to make this flawless from a performance standpoint alone. However, I have ridiculously high expectations for this because of all the money. Hopefully, with them spending less on CGI, it means they can spend more on script writing, sets, and just overall recording it right. You know, like just get it right, bro. Just get it right. So now, without further ado, here's what I think of the 2024 Wicked musical movie starring Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo. Erivo, you fool. Oh, whoa. And now it is time for part 4, the watching of the Wicked. I just wanted to pop in here on the mic and let you guys know real quickly that I was not able to record microphone footage for this next part. At some point the mic does pop back in and sound quality gets better. I apologize for the phone sound quality and especially for the heater in the background because that's a lot of background noise. But thank you very much for sticking it this far. Let's get into it. Let's watch some Wicked, baby. The clips that I will be using are recorded, so they're low resolution. I do apologize in advance, but I'll be putting it in a picture-in-picture because I don't want to put the full thing on the full screen. Any copyright that might happen, as we all like to say. But obviously Wicked's not out on a hard copy yet, so I couldn't have shown you otherwise. This should be fine, right? So we start off with the first scene where the Wicked Witch of the West has just been killed by a house. And everybody is singing about how the Wicked Witch is dead. The first musical number is phenomenal. The sounds, the movement. I want to especially highlight the movement. Perfect, flawless theater kid shit. I tell you what. Ariana's voice is also just perfect. It's perfect. No critiques, no notes. There's not going to be any notes on anybody's voice because they are all phenomenal, gorgeous, beautiful, wonderful. Oh my god, it was so nice to hear. Right off the bat, I will have to say that Cynthia's controversy really ruined me because I saw this poster, the wanted poster for Elphaba, and all I could think of was Flynn Rider.
No. This is bad. This is very, very bad. This is really bad. They just can't get my nose right.
And I am so sorry. I truly am. But she should have really sat and thought about it and reflected and really should have done things a little bit differently. Because now I'm less than 10 minutes into the film and I've already thought about it. I also just want to make note that I am not being derogatory in any way. The irony was not lost on me that Flynn Rider, despite the wanted poster being a very good drawing, hyper-focused on one detail that sent him into a flurry that was completely beside the point. Much like how Cynthia wanted to drag an artist for a made-up problem because nobody is erasing her features. And it just feels really misguided. I can just imagine what's going through Ariana's head, oh, look at all those peasants. The opening number alone was so good. I really, really, really hope that it just drew audiences in and that there's an uptick in musical viewership. Because musicals are wonderful, they're so immersive. It's so easy to suspend your disbelief in a theater. It's really something special, man. This little, yeah. That was adorable. I liked that. This didn't really make all too much sense. At this part, there's a group of kids bullying Elphaba and her little sister, and they're teasing her and berating her, and she gets mad and she throws rocks at her with her magic. And then this dude comes over and he's like, "You can't scare your sister like that. Bro, there's no way you didn't hear all them heckling kids. Ain't no way." But it's okay, I got the point across. Elphaba gets blamed for everything. I thought this part was lovely. They did that zoom out shot from Oz and then it transitioned into underwater fish. And that was really gorgeous. That was smooth. That was flawless. Good job. I really liked the color design. But it gave Barbie. I do think it's interesting though, because film is somewhat doing new things. Although it is very uniform, it is pleasant on the eyes, and I will give them that. This whole scene, with the way that the colors look and how they just pop with the city, it looks really good. I just think it's interesting how once one movie does something successful, then the next movie tries to incorporate that somehow. I don't know if that's cool and creative or if it's a guideline. Not my job. Okay, this part was funny.
And you, come with me. Of course. Not you. You.
I think that's the first time that has ever happened to Ariana Grande, where somebody else is chosen over her. Isn't she usually the one that's chosen over everybody else? I thought it was funny. I think, I'm gonna say this a lot, but Ariana makes the perfect Glinda, and I don't know if that's a good thing, because Glinda is not is not it. The song Loathing was done very well. I really liked everything from the cinematography to the acting to the way that they did this scene. I really liked it. It all looked really good, but my point is that this is really the moment where I thought, damn, she really sounds like the Broadway Glinda. I really wish I knew her name. I'll be sure to put it on screen every time I bring it up. But Ariana is just giving. Like, she sounds exactly like Glinda. She looks like Glinda. She is the embodiment of Glinda. And this was really the scene that just kind of hit it home. Because she's Glinda, bro. So this part in the library, before the song even started, I was like, damn, that's a cool library. I like the little wheels that they have to search for the books. That's really cool. It all looks really, really cool. And then my mind was blown even more when it turns out that the next musical number was done on those wheels. And it was really well done. I was obsessed. Like, I was entranced. I just kept watching this guy. I also liked the way that they tilted their heads here. It felt very theater. The costumes and the choreography are great. I also really love how Glinda's hair is always perfect. And I just couldn't help but to notice how her hair wrapped around her chin on one side and then it was completely back on the other. Like, for some reason, I just couldn't stop staring at that. It looked so good for some reason. Count on Glinda to only be nice when it conveniences her. Watching the slow mastery of it was very interesting to watch. I also know that this is something that has always been written in the musical. Saying words wrong has always been a quirky little aspect of it. But for some reason, hearing Ariana say words like this wrong, it just feels like I'm watching Ariana Grande. And of course, the contrast to this, which is that whenever Elphaba tries to help, she ends up making an inconvenience for everybody else around her and looking bad. It just looks like Wednesday again. I'm so sorry I keep bringing it up, but I really feel like I shouldn't be re-experiencing other recent hit films and shows while watching this one. Is it just because I'm acknowledging that they're using the same tricks? Is it just that simple? That in itself has become a guideline rather than a creative liberty? I don't know. I'm not a professional. It felt exactly like Wednesday. Am I tripping? I really liked this face shot. It was just really well done. Good job. So up to this point, Glinda and Elphaba did not have a good relationship. It was very petty, and I still don't really think that Glinda really ever liked or cared for Elphaba. But because she pretended so much, Elphaba believed her. And because she believed her, she treated her like a friend, and that's what kept Glinda around, was the friendship. I bring this up because this is the moment in the movie where she stands in solidarity. By her doing this dance, she is risking her own status and the way that people see her in order to stand in solidarity with somebody she cares about. This was a very impactful moment overall because it changes, of course, the relationship altogether. But most importantly, it's the first time that she is seen doing something selfless, where she is helping even if it might not be good for her. And she's still seen as a good person for it. She's not demonized in any way. She's not punished. She's not talked down to. Everything works out. And in that moment, she realizes that she can be selfless and people will still admire her and applaud her. This will come back later, though. Trust me, it will. This dramatic flop. I love it. One more time. And once again, Ariana's singing popular. It's just Ariana singing. She ain't Glinda. She's just Ariana, bro. This is the most ridiculous scene I have seen in a long time.
Never mind. Yeah, okay. Put these right back on here.
But it works so well. Keep doing stuff like that. That was the most awkward, weirdest, and yet also graceful role I have seen. All at once, somehow, very strange, and it worked. This lighting right here, I loved this lighting. This was reminiscent of theater lighting, and it was one of the few times where I felt they tried really hard at lighting, and I really do wish that there were more moments like this, because lighting is a very underestimated and phenomenal part of the theater experience, and I wish they could have incorporated it a little bit more. And then the plot thickens. And Elphaba says, "Yes, Elphaba. Yes, they are." There were some moments like this where I couldn't help but to think how difficult it might have been to do the lighting on green skin. So that was just a technical detail that I took note of. When she's walking through the woods here, there's this weird distortion animation going on in the background. And I think that is one of the coolest things that I've seen. Definitely the coolest thing probably from this movie from a technical standpoint as far as new things I haven't seen before go. The way that it like diffuses and then goes into the background. Like somebody had to go and post edit and do that, and whatever they did, it's pretty. I need to figure out how they did that actually. Why does this guy look like a grown-ass adult amongst a bunch of kids? He looks like a grown man. Remember how I said I would get back to the whole Glinda discovering she can do things selflessly and it still work out in her favor? We're going to return to that. And this is the scene where, in solidarity of the teacher getting taken away, she decides to change her name to Glinda instead of Galinda. Now, it's really silly to begin with because he's a goat and he pronounced her name Glinda, which sounds like Galinda. He's saying Galinda, bitch. And so it was silly for her to feel that way to begin with. So because that sort of selfishness shone through whenever she spoke up about, in solidarity, I will be changing my name to Glinda. Because up to this point, the only other time that she's been selfless to be kind, it's worked out in her favor. Because 12 minutes later, she regrets changing her name to Glinda. She regrets it. She doesn't like it. As Elphaba is about to leave before Glinda joins her, that friendship is so fake. That friendship was always so fake. And then she invites her, and I'm like, no, she's fake. It just breaks my heart how Elphaba really found companionship in Glinda, and she saw her in a good light. But Glinda never had her best intentions in mind. She was just there for the ride because it just happened that way. And she wasn't really the type of strong character that could make the decision to remove herself from that situation or be a better friend. Come at me if you want. I've always hated Glinda as a character because she's a shitty character. Because Elphaba spends her whole life being punished for helping people or for caring about people, things, and issues. And every time Elphaba speaks up, it's inconvenient for everybody else, even if it's for the right thing. While Glinda doesn't speak up for anything in particular, and she's praised as being something amazing for doing the bare fucking minimum. I think that's why we love Wicked. It's a very deep dive inspection of human nature and how we are so quick to demonize those who are different, despite the fact that they are working overdrive to change the world for the better. Wicked's message has always been very good. Similar to my gripe of Avatar: The Last Airbender live action, for some reason these costumes are just far too crisp and pristine. I don't really know how they could go about weathering the costumes. But just look at these guys. They're rolling around in fountains. Do they do that every day? Shouldn't their costumes be a little bit more grimy? Like, it's just kind of weird. Why is it so pristine? I don't know. I don't know. This little scene with the show that the wizard was putting on was really nice. It was a really pretty scene that felt like it took us back to theater roots, having the silhouette and telling the story. It felt really refreshing. It felt very simple, even though it wasn't simple at all. Like, look at all that going on there. But regardless of that, it just felt like it belonged. The part where she's doing the spell casting was extremely powerful. The chanting and how it would occasionally turn into song. Very nice. I could feel the power emanating from the screen. It was excellent. So, by casting the spell driven by emotion for the sympathy she has for the animals, she ends up giving the monkeys their wings. The wizard is impressed and he wants her to do more. But there is no fooling anybody because she will be rewarded for doing cruel things. She doesn't want to make armies, but that's the only way that people will see her in a good light, is if she uses her power to do bad things. Because honestly, the only times that she tries to do things right, they go wrong and they make her look bad. Even the monkeys didn't want anything to do with her. They were mad. They were able to rally up the monkeys because they were mad at the person who did that to them. Every time she tries to provide the world with a kindness, she instead provides a cruelty, and that is the harshest curse of them all. Saying the quiet part out loud. Very well done. Very, very well done. I am so happy they did not try to sugarcoat the message, because that is a very big part of the message. The world we live in is in the exact same way. We blame problems on entire groups of people. We make innocent people suffer because of feelings that don't even make sense. Mostly power. And that leads into the next hard-hitting lesson. Deviation from the norm is punished and less profitable. But I'll leave you with a bit of the clip. Keep in mind that they're trying to convince her to join so that they can create an enemy in order to unite the people. And she thinks that's wrong, and she's going against that because she has compassion and sympathy for the animals, because like her, they are not given freedom and they are not given opportunity. They are not seen as people and they are not treated with justice or respect. Doing what you dreamed of doesn't matter if you're doing it for the wrong reasons. Because at the end of the day, being exploited isn't a freedom. And then the thrilling conclusion. The demonization that is done by those in power. When you, an individual, know your personal power and you refuse to do it for others, for things you don't believe in, you become the enemy. You become what is bad and everything wrong in the world, because at the end of the day, people need somebody to be mad at. Cynthia felt that. This moment was very emotional for me. She felt that with every fiber of her being. She's probably been told that. She's probably experienced that. And she really felt that. But unfortunately, this is really the last moment that I enjoyed. What can I say? I'm a huge critic. Going into this, I knew that my highest expectation was around the song Defying Gravity, because it is the best song. It is the best song in the entire movie, okay? I don't care what you say. Even, like, looking at it from a subjective viewpoint, it is the song. The oh, whoa, that's like the whole plot. That is the moment, the pivotal moment. So going into it, I knew it had to be amazing. And I don't know. I don't know if the moments in between splitting up the songs were too long, meaning that the climax kept rising and falling, but in a non-desirable way. I don't know if it was the set, because they were in a tower. It was very drab and bland looking. I don't know if it was because there wasn't much lighting work being done, or maybe it's just because Elphaba felt stiff. This moment right here was the only time that I saw her really do a lot of action. Otherwise, she was just walking really fast upstairs, and I wish there was a lot more going on in that moment. I don't know why Defying Gravity was so anticlimactic, but I didn't find myself getting as excited as I typically would. I want to note that, of course, Cynthia stylized on this track a lot, as she probably should. It's the main song and the pivotal moment of the musical. Do what you need to do, baby. But the thing is that she was stylizing almost the entirety of the end of Defying Gravity, but the cast members sounded exactly like the recording of the Wicked musical. Like, you know, like the Wicked CD musical. And that was really strange, and it didn't quite work too well, because they sounded exactly the same as the original musical, and she sounded so different that it almost seemed like it didn't work well. Like, she should have done the stylization in different bursts or different intervals, or like, I just don't know. I can't put my finger on it because I'm not a professional. I just know that I felt the end of the movie was anticlimactic because Defying Gravity did not meet my expectations, which were extremely high. Don't get me wrong, my expectations were already ridiculous and were probably not going to be met to begin with, but knowing that it is the most important song of the musical, I am a little disappointed. The ending scene with her in the air, just look at that. That is wonderful. The way her cloak looked, the way she looked, the way she was singing, stylization. This was the one little nugget during Defying Gravity that was done so fucking well. Oh! Oh, wow, wow. I don't know. That's just my guess. I haven't practiced. And to be continued. Why? I'm okay with two-parters. I just wish they would stop throwing them on us. Like the Spider-Verse, how the second Spider-Verse was actually a two-parter and they didn't tell us until the movie ended. And now Wicked did it too. Like, I can understand Wicked doing it because they want to attract people to watch a musical. So if they put part 1, then people are going to be like, oh, well, now I have to commit to watching 2 movies, which is a realistic reaction. I don't want to have to commit to paying money every time I want to see one single movie. Now I got to pay double the price. Now if you get into Avengers, you got to pay a crap ton of money to watch all of their movies. Even if you have Disney Plus, that's a crap ton of money you have to pay on media, bro. So that is a little disappointing. I wish they could have finished it out altogether, but I do understand the whole attention span thing. It's hard to sit through a movie that's even 2 hours long, let alone if they would have made it. I imagine it would have been about 3.5. So at the beginning when I talked about the budget and I said it was 150 million, that was for this. The second movie was an additional 150 million, and I'm assuming they're going to spend quite a bit more on marketing. I don't know though, I'm not sure, because the projected release date for the next Wicked part is in March of 2025, very soon. Apparently they recorded both parts all at one time, so it's all recorded, it's all done, it's just all being edited right now. I think they're just kind of listening to what people have to say like this, and trying to make sure that everything looks good and squeaky clean for part 2. So that's the movie. It was powerful, it was raw. Cynthia felt everything that Elphaba felt, and I am so happy that an actress who identifies with the struggles of this character could be the one to represent this character. She did fantastic. She did. Ariana did fantastic. Alrighty, y'all. Post-edit me. Today it is December 15th, and I am nearing the end of editing this video. But there are 3 things that I want to go over that I wanted to include in this video before it is finished. I felt like this was a good place to put this. So to get back to the whole situation with the UK whitewashing the advertising, Cynthia did end up saying something about it in an interview. I'll put the screenshot here, and she didn't really say much. On one hand, I do wish she had a little more vigor when it came to speaking out against stuff that's not right, but on the other hand, I understand that UK has a very long history of whitewashing. It's just kind of a thing they do. So I understand that her voice would probably just be lost in the opinions on that situation. I'm also very sure that she's had some kind of training, like social media, PR, public relation training, about how to approach serious situations and how to react online. It's like a whole training thing that people have to do, I guess, whenever they get famous. Idina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth were both in the movie. It was kind of like a surprise to everybody and a really nice homage to the original. So it was nice to see those two bicker on stage once more. And very lovely to hear the vocals. Nice little Easter egg that they put there. The last thing, before I get into giving you a grand rating of what I think of Wicked, is how I've seen a lot of people online make comments about how they don't like Cynthia's voice. I even saw a comment about, oh, I've been listening to the original soundtrack and it's such a breath of relief from hearing Cynthia's vocals everywhere. Something like that. I can't remember. I didn't save it. I'm not bothered because Cynthia sounds great. I can at the very least, understand where they are coming from, because everybody, the whole cast and Glinda, everybody sounds exactly like the Broadway cast, and then Cynthia's like the odd one out. So I can kind of understand that there were moments where it was kind of jarring how different her voice was compared to everybody else. But at the same time, in the context of Wicked and what it is, being different is something that Elphaba just does, and doing things that she wants to do usually riles people up. So it's very, very much so fits the situation. In my opinion, it's almost like a social experiment whenever you compare the media and the people who consume said media. Very interesting parallels to be found. Very interesting takes and critiques on human behavior. Just cool stuff to keep in mind, you know? Almost forgot one more thing. The actress who plays Nessa Rose has been dealing with a lot of uncomfortable, bad, ableist comments online. Fortunately, the first place where I heard about this was on a clickbait article on Facebook, because Facebook loves to show you things that will make you upset. And I saw the harsh reality that people are calling her sensitive and saying that the Wicked movie has a lot of actresses that are giving it poor taste because of their emotional meltdowns. And I think that's a very bad take, because from what I see, the actress who plays Nessa Rose has been getting some really nasty comments. So I think it's very, 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 very important to continue speaking out for what's right and keep holding people up who need the platform and the support of the community. Alright, so this is the part you've all been waiting for, the final rating. So I made up these 10 categories on my own while I drew. That's what the last footage was me drawing while I typed this up. So the more that I make videos like this, the more refined these categories will become. For now, I didn't really spend too much thought on it, and just sort of threw together a list that made sense with Wicked specifically. So first we've got the cast, 10 out of 10, no notes. Second is cinematography, 9 out of 10. That was also really good. I do just sort of wish there was a little more color in some spots. Music would be a 9 out of 10. Absolutely phenomenal. I think the only reason why it loses points is because Defying Gravity had a pacing issue. It had a pacing issue, and my favorite part of that song is when she comes out and nobody in all of Oz, and she comes in and she's like breathless, and she's like, and nobody, and like I get it, like I get the emotional, I get what you would do in an emotional situation like that, be out of breath and all that, but I really missed the melody, and it was very unexpected and sudden and jarring. Lighting, 7 out of 10. I guess it's kind of unfair to mark down on cinematography when I have an entire section for lighting, but for the reasons that I said, I really feel like they weren't very experimental with lighting, and it was kind of a bummer. Dialogue is a 9 out of 10. I think overall everything was great. There were only a few scenes where I thought they were doing too much, like when Alphaba was falling from the skyscraper and she saw the reflection of herself, and just a few other things that, like, we didn't need to add all that, but it's okay, it works, it's not bad. That is why it has a 9 out of 10. 7, creativity. Creativity actually scored them pretty low at 6 out of 10. When I'm watching media, I don't want to have multiple thoughts in less than 2 hours about how many times I've seen something done before in mainstream media. When I'm watching media like something like Arcane, the concepts are really new and exciting and interesting and unique. And even in moments when I do find myself comparing things like Arcane to other media, it's not in a sense of, oh, they're kind of like doing the same thing, right? It's more of noticing how it explores farther on concepts that have been briefly mentioned in media that already existed. There were just far too many times where I was like, oh, this reminds me of Wednesday, this reminds me of Barbie, for me to feel comfortable rating it high in creativity, because there weren't a lot of things that were new or different or innovative. A lot of it just gave, we have the money for this, not we're doing it because it's going to improve the quality. Like, that's a part of it, but it didn't feel like that was their desire. Delivering on promises, I don't know why I made it a category, but I gave them 9 out of 10. They really hyped this up, they really made it a big deal, and they really did follow through. They really didn't fall short in a lot of categories. To the average person, this was probably a phenomenal movie, especially if they were already a fan of Wicked. Marketing was 6 out of 10. Obviously, I need to dock points for the fact that they used AI for the boxes and led to porn sites. Not very great, actually terrible, really. And also the overwhelming feeling of Wicked. You couldn't walk into a store without being face to face with something Wicked, and it was annoying. I'm annoyed by ads, I'm annoyed by marketing. I don't want to see it all the time. I was excited about it, I still pretty am, but it doesn't change the fact that I didn't want it shoved in my face every 5 seconds. But marketing be what marketing be, it did make them a lot of money. And last but not least, overall production in comparison to the budget. This is always a thing I like to look at. I'm going to keep bringing up Arcane, I guess, but their budget was a fraction of what Wicked's was. I'll put it on the screen, and it is amazing. It is majestic. It's beautiful. It's creative. It's different. It's lovely to watch. So whenever you look at movies with a bigger budget like Wicked, it's important to keep in mind that they could have made something just as cool with a smaller budget. Very important to look at all these factors together and to hold accountability for where they really did fall short, because there's no reason to fall short in any way with a budget like that. Not like they did it a lot, I'm just picky. I'm a critic, you know? So that brings the total to 7.2 stars, which is actually lower than I expected. Before I did the category breakdown, I was going to give it about an 8 out of 10, maybe 8.5, maybe 7.5, you know, in that range. So I really like doing it this way. Out of 100, I could just easily 72 out of 100, and that is 7.2 star rating. I'm pretty sure it's much higher for the average person, but I'm a critic. So there you have it. That's what I thought about Wicked. We got just a little bit more to dive into and come to a conclusion. Thank you for sticking with it. You're the real one. For me, it was just the music. The music was amazing. These amazing singers. If there's one thing that I learned about theater and music, is that it is a highly, highly competitive field. A lot of people can sing and dance and act. So unfortunately, a lot of theater and the entertainment industry boil down to your appearance. I hate that. I hate that so much. That's why I gave up my chances of acting. I want to give every creator a chance. So why wouldn't other people want to give me a chance, you know? I've got to be kinder to myself. We need to be kinder to everybody. And we should stop depriving such talented people of incredible roles like this. I never heard of Cynthia before this. So now that she's been in this, now I know who she is. She's gained visibility. She has done a wonderful job. And I'm happy that she had that chance. On Ariana's side, I'm happy that we had somebody who was the spitting image of Glinda. But I also feel weird about the fact that she was such a perfect Glinda, because she is a problematic person. Not the best of people, but what celebrity is at this point. They're all problematic. All of your faves are problematic. I feel like we should have a higher expectation of celebrities and influencers. I really feel like we sell ourselves short by the content we consume, because we let really shitty people tell us what to do and how to think. And the hive mindset is not good no matter what context you put it in. Even if you're in a community, leaning into clique-like behaviors is not cute, and it's not it. And yet it is all that we know, isn't it? To Cynthia, I just hope you continue speaking out for injustices, but please don't waste your breath on things like a fan photoshopping a poster of you to look like the original. That's not it. That's not the battles you should be choosing. There are real problems that real people face. Just focus on that. Keep being vocal about injustice. We all need to be. It's wrong. It's fucked up. There's no reason why everybody can't have a fair shot. There's no reason why people are treated differently based on their skin color or sexuality or their gender. No reason for it. It's silly. They're fake enemies. We need to start addressing the people in power that are genuinely making things hard for us, and we need to stop blaming each other for it. Woke isn't bad. Woke was never bad. Woke is just bad for the people in charge trying to keep their power and their control over us. Wicked didn't, and I am very proud of it for that. Congratulations on sticking through. I only have a couple more things to say. The times Cynthia felt the rawest and the realest were her moments of anger and powerlessness in the face of hatred and discrimination. Those moments were raw, it emanated off of her. Those moments were real and awakened something inside of her that she could only belt out through song with the rage that boils from her throat. She is certainly a force to be reckoned with, and I applaud her for her fantastic work. I feel nothing but joy that she had the opportunity to play a character that she resonates with, and I wish nothing but the best for her moving forward. I am very excited to see if she will play other roles, singing roles, if she might become more in the mainstream eye as far as music goes. I don't know, she sounds wonderful and she's very expressive, and I know that she's had a lot of hardship in her life, and I want only the best for people who have had to struggle in ways that other people can't understand. Theater people are powerful. Theater people are built different. Movies that rely on these types of performers slap, bro. Musical theater skill really is unmatched. And lit as fuck.